Day 26 is arm devastation time. I am honestly running out of synonyms for these videos at this point. Maybe I just put arms in the title, no synonyms from now on, but I'm going to try my best to keep it up. But anyway, it's arm day. And the reason I skipped 3 days in terms of uploads is because day 24 was chest and shoulders and day 25 was a rest day. I mean, technically that's 2 days, but I basically just didn't record chest and shoulders. I wanted to get in the zone. I wanted to train by myself. Probably should record all my workouts from now on, especially if these videos start doing well. But anyways, arm day, let's talk about it. What did I do first? So today was obviously triceps first and then biceps. That's what I usually do. I wanted to get the bigger muscle out the way first, so I hit triceps first. And plus, I just like to do it that way. I feel like I get the best pump. So that's what I do. First exercise is a rope tricep push down. It's not with the dual rope this time. I wanted to try something different. I still really felt it with a single rope. Now, something that happened today that doesn't usually happen was I had a lot of elbow pain, especially in my left elbow. For some reason, it's always the left side. Being an enlightened lifter and being pretty smart when it comes to training, I realized this and decided to change the way I train for today. So instead of going heavy all the time and swinging weight around, I tried to go slower and control the weight more. Just try and drive a ton of blood in there, because not only is it going to help build muscle, it's also going to help recover that weirdly tweaked elbow. That's probably just a 1-day thing and will be gone by the next training day. So for like the first 2/3 of the workout, I'm just on the cables doing tricep push downs. I finished all of triceps on the cables. I didn't want to do any heavy pressing or skull crushers again because of the elbow. And then I ended up doing one bicep exercise, which was the rope cable curl on the cable machine as well. Again, I didn't really want to start with something like an easy bar curl or like alternating dumbbell curls, like typical stuff like that, because it would hurt my elbow and I didn't want to risk it. So if you are dealing with some kind of pain or some kind of injury, you obviously don't want to make it worse. That's the stupidest thing you can do. So try and work around it. Don't make it an excuse and say, oh, I can't go to the gym because this hurts or that hurts. You can work around pretty much every injury, unless obviously it's severe, like a torn bicep or something. That's a different story. But just a little elbow pain or shoulder pain, you can definitely work around that. So 3 sets of the rope tricep push down. I then do 3 sets of the overhead rope tricep extension, really trying to get more contraction on the long head, because the long head is an important part of the bicep that gives it a lot of the beef from the front poses, the front double bicep specifically. So I'm trying to beef that up here. 3 sets of that, and then I move back to a tricep push down with this handle. Now this hurt my elbow a little bit, so what I did after this set is I moved on to pretty much just unilateral stuff. Really just try and focus on the muscle instead of trying to pound it with this usual attachment. But I pretty much did, I think, 80 pounds on the stack, which is almost a full stack, and I did a pretty controlled, pretty good form as well. I did a drop set here as well, but it ended up really hurting my elbow, so I said, you know what, I'm going to be smart here and bring the weight down, do unilateral. And this actually felt a lot better than I thought. So this is like an extension out to the side. And you can see here that I'm trying to only use my elbow extension. I'm not trying to move my shoulder around. There's just no need for that stuff. You get a good enough stretch doing this. So if you do feel like you need some kind of unilateral work, this will work very well. It helped me a lot. And it helps kind of recover my elbow for the bicep work. Okay, last thing for triceps is now a straight downwards unilateral cable extension. Pretty simple stuff right here. I usually do this to warm up my triceps, but here I'm doing working sets with it just to burn them out and not put too much strain on the elbow. I think 10 sets for triceps today, not the usual 11 or 12 because again of the pain. So we move on to biceps. And again, as I said, we stay on the cables for the first exercise. It is the cable curl with this attachment. Surprisingly didn't hurt as much as I expected it to, which means that it was a smart decision going with the lighter unilateral tricep work. This is a really underrated exercise for me. I feel like a lot of people are missing out on this kind of cable curl. It really gets me a crazy contraction, especially the squeeze at the top. It could be a little bit of a better stretch, but that's just me. Even with an easy bar curl, I don't get that good of a stretch. I feel like biceps are that one muscle where no matter what I do, especially for like the beginning few sets, I get a ridiculous contraction to the point where it feels like my bicep is about to tear off. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm going to take it as a good thing because I get crazy pumps. So 2 sets there, and then I move on to the rope for the last set. Pretty simple stuff here, not going too heavy, really just trying to drive blood into the bicep and hopefully heal that elbow in the meantime. kind of kill two birds with one stone. Now we're doing incline dumbbell curls. Half the people love it, half the people hate it. I think it's a great exercise. I think pretty much 90% of exercises are great if you do them properly. If you do them like an idiot, then pretty much every exercise sucks. You got to do them properly. And here, incline curls, the emphasis is the stretch at the bottom and the huge range of motion compared to most other curl movements, especially if you got long arms like me. I mean, just look at the range of motion here. It's crazy. It even feels like a lot of range of motion. So you're going to end up putting a lot of tension on those biceps. That's exactly what you want. Incline dumbbell curls is a great exercise in my opinion. I honestly don't care what people say. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. But for me, it's a great exercise. 3 sets there, and we move on to the unilateral cable curl. So it's a cable curl, but I get the 2 handles that you usually use for flies, and I do curls with them instead. Allows me to focus more on one side than the other, kind of balance out the biceps, because usually you have muscular imbalances and things like that. So we want to fix that, stay symmetrical. So I do exercises like this to offset potential genetic differences in my left or right bicep. Plus, it's just a great exercise. I don't put the weight as high as I usually would because of the elbow, but I've still pumped the crap out of these biceps, and it feels crazy. Now, at the end of this, I think I did 3 sets or 2 sets here. My biceps felt pretty pumped, but I felt like I had a little bit more in the tank. So I went and did preacher curls, but I did not record them. So I did preacher curls. I think I did 2 or 3 sets on those. It was weird with preacher curls because the more sets I did, the better my elbow felt. So I just kept doing more sets, and it ended up being great. So preacher curls, I did 3 sets. Total, I think I did like 12 for biceps, which is actually a lot, but I did get a pretty good pump. I was tired, so I took a rest day the next day. And by tired, I don't mean like, oh, I'm just sleepy. I'm like, no, I was literally sleep deprived. I'm pretty sure I got like 6 hours of actual sleep for the last like week. So I'm like, I'm going to take some time off. Still didn't get very good sleep tonight, or last night rather. And for today's back day, that might not be the best case scenario. That definitely isn't the best case scenario. Sleep is really important. Before I criticize you about your sleep, I got to get my own down first. Here's some posing. Something I've noticed recently is I feel like my waist might be a little bit too thick. Now, that might be because the bulk has just been going a little too well. I don't know, man. Classic physique, you got to have like pretty much no waist. That thing's got to be invisible. And if it's looking like that right now, I really hope that it trims down during the cut. I really hope so, because it's a genetic thing that really puts you ahead of other people in terms of classic physique bodybuilding especially. So, and because that's where I'm trying to go, it will be very difficult with a thick waist. So I'm trying to bring that down a little bit more. Still push the food a decent amount. Something I learned also with bulking, you don't need to force feed unless you feel like you don't have enough energy. I know it's a hardcore thing that bodybuilders say, you know, they eat a lot, eat big to get big and all that stuff. But if you eat too much, it impedes your training. You don't get good pumps because there's always food in your stomach and things like that. Eat to the point where you have enough energy to work out and recover. And that's kind of all you need. Like, I don't see why you would need any more food than that. It's just going to get stored as fat. So eat to the point where you're comfortable, and if you still feel like you don't have enough energy at that point, you may need to push food a little bit. But if you can just eat at a comfortable range, still have a ton of energy, get good pumps, and train really hard, I don't see the reason to increase food. That's just my idea of it. This bulk is going well. It's going slow in terms of weight gain, but we're not going after pounds on the scale necessarily. That's kind of how I started out, but I'm trying to go for more quality muscle development and just bring on my physique a little bit more without bringing up the waist and the fat levels. That's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed this arm day. Tomorrow is back. Stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one.